Hello, I'm Sapphire, and thank you for listening to my Rafayel from Love and Deepspace fanfiction. Working title, The Ocean's Opera, and this is my first draft. As the last rays of pink and orange light kissed the indigo sky, the limo pulled up to the opera house. The crowds of people were blocked off to ensure that the red carpet wasn't trampled. The velvet rope lining the sides kept onlookers in check. The door opened to reveal a gentleman with blue-violet hair flowing off his head in small waves. He still had his sunglasses on as he stepped out of the car, hiding the impish look in his eyes. A commotion erupted as they realized who had arrived. "Rafayel!" someone screamed and pointed towards the road. Several people followed suit, turning towards him and praying for some attention from him. The sounds of the crowd pleading for a handshake, an autograph, or a photo were drowned out by the cries of others. Men dressed in black were surrounding him, ensuring his safety as he made his way towards the steps of the opera house. His tuxedo, a shade of princely purple and white with pink pearls adorning it, fitting him close at the waist, flowing over his back, and coattails catching the wind suddenly as he walked. He swaggered past the last few rows of people, his hips swaying as he stepped in rhythm, not addressing anyone specifically, and yet still smiling softly at those lucky enough to catch the eye of the artist. He stepped slowly upwards, making his way into the lobby. He was met by his manager, Thomas, who had been anxiously awaiting him. He was standing stiff, with a serious look upon his face, trying to stop himself from wringing his hands. "You're here, and on time for once," he addressed the artist. Yeah, I'm here. You know I don't care for the opera anymore. I don't know why you thought associating me with it was the best idea." Rafayel lowered his sunglasses and scowled at the manager, causing him to nervously adjust his collar. "It was an opportunity you couldn't miss. Plus, the prima donna will be wearing a gown based on your painting." He made sure to accentuate the word "your" to ensure that he realized how important this was. "Everything is perfect. The exposure for your newest painting will be in front of so many eyes tonight. Just you wait." The two men began to walk further into the building. "As long as it gets people into the museums, I suppose." He sighed and shook his head. "You should probably take off your sunglasses." Thomas peered over his rose-colored frames. "No, I'm good." Raphael smirked, revealing his soft blue eyes with a gentle rose gleam in his pupils. He pushed his sunglasses back up before returning a discontent look to his features. "Where am I seated?" "We're on the balcony, just to the left of the stage." Thomas tried to contain his excitement. "You'll have the best view of where the leading lady will be on stage. I know you'll be most pleased at the result." Raphael sighed again and thought of sitting at the opera for hours. "This had better be worth it," he groaned. "It will be. I also have flowers waiting for you to give the prima donna afterwards. The press will want some promotional photos of the two of you together after the show. This is going to be exciting." Thomas started to lead the artist towards the stairs. "You really are impressed with yourself, aren't you?" He rolled his eyes. "The last thing I want is to hang around with a Valkyrie Brunhilde." Raphael shrugged his shoulders as he walked up the stairs that were covered in white carpet with a golden banister. "This place has some nice architecture." He touched the wood gently, almost finding comfort in the feel of its softness. "Only the best venue for you." They arrived at their balcony. Thomas pulled the curtain open and allowed his employer inside. Raphael stopped in his tracks before stepping through. "Wait. I'm going to take a moment before I sit. We're going to be here for hours after all, and I would rather spend a little less time cooped up in a box than I have to." He turned around and quickly disappeared down the stairs. "Rafayel!" Thomas called out to deaf ears. Damn it. He went to his seat to brood losing his employer and plan in the event that he chose not to return. The lights were dimmer as he descended. He He had to remove his sunglasses and place them in his pocket as he traveled down the stairs. Slipping further down, he found himself face to face with the hallway to the sub-basement. The walls were painted a bland shade of yellow, and the lighting was recessed and pallor. At the end of the windowless hallway, he could see a shimmer of white sequenced fabric. A long train attached to a ball gown. Her long, black hair was a cascade of curls down to her waist, covering her bare back. Her hair was adorned with silver seashells, starfish, and white pearls. An elven-style tiara sat upon her head, silvers, sapphires, and diamonds. "Well," he whispered, his sense of mischief creeping up on him at the scene of this person facing a wall. "What have we here?" He stared at the back of this woman, who looked like an angel in pure white. He approached slowly and noticed her back was moving a bit faster than normal breathing. She had soft, heaving breaths escaping her. Rafayel realized that the woman, the angel before him, was crying. He looked away, unsure what to do with this knowledge. His normal instinct to be playful was washed away by the sound of her sobbing. "Ix!" he tried to say, but stopped himself. "Miss, are you all right?" He saw her hair move as she lifted her head, the lights from the ceiling catching all the jewels and glitter in her hair. She started to turn, slowly, like a flower blooming, her gown, the petals blossoming about her. Her profile, the sleek neck covered in a silver choker, the color of caramel, rich and delightful, her delicate jawline, apple cheeks and button nose, the blush of rose and plum upon her cheeks, the soft pinkish blue lipstick she wore, her lips like an oyster, opening as she breathed. Her eyelids were covered in pink, purple, teal, and blue eyeshadow, creating an ombre of a setting sun over the sea. It was when she opened her eyes that he saw a glimmer of crystal, blue eyes, fractal as gemstone, peering back at him with innocent candor. She fully turned her head to him, her body still partially facing the back wall. The blue, teardrop gemstone dangling slightly between her perfectly arched eyebrows. The woman let out a gasp at being found in the depths of the opera house. She bowed her head and curtsied. "Pardonnez-moi," she spoke like a melody, weaving chords and tunes into his ears and his mind. "I didn't hear you coming." She looked down for a brief moment that he almost didn't catch. "I'm fine." Rafayel took a step closer, his gaze on the soft caramel skin of her face, bewitched and yet overwhelmed by all the intricate details of her appearance. "You seem distressed. Is there anything I can do to assist the lady?" He bowed his head, very much unsure how to address someone who felt so ethereal. She seemed to grow more confident, her posture changing and her features becoming more regal and poised. "I appreciate the thought, sir." She had a bit of an accent, but it was almost unnoticeable. "I apologize. I must depart." She turned fully and he saw the front of her gown. Deep pinks, purples, and blues in the form of a frothy mist, matching the shades on her eyelids. Gemstones adorned the patterns, sapphires, emeralds, pink diamonds, and aquamarines woven into the material. It made her shimmer as if she was a precious stone herself. He let out a gasp as he realized that the woman was wearing his painting in the form of her gown. He had stumbled upon the prima donna. Without another word, she began to walk forward, increasing her pace as she did so, her steps delicate and poised. She held her gown in her gloved hand, white pearl gloves that went up to almost her shoulders. Her bracelets of sapphire and silver catching the light as she made her escape. She was so close. He could smell the soft smell of cherry blossom from her body. Intoxicating was too tame a word to describe how it made his stomach jump around. As she passed, his hand went out, his arm catching her by the waist. She let out a soft yelp as she fell backwards and suddenly was swept up in his arms. He leaned forward, looking at her with eyes that matched the clothes she wore, gentle blue with a kiss of pink. She breathed heavily, her chest heaving as it supported her strapless gown. There were merely a few inches between them, and she could feel the warmth of breath on her face, the gentle scent of mint filling her nostrils. His hand on her back felt assured and strong, and the velvet softness of the skin on her back made a tinge of pink appear upon his cheeks. "My lady, you are very close to me," he spoke with a chuckle, the smile filling his entire face. As are you," she responded in kind, unsure on how to proceed. Any time she attempted to move, the grip on her waist tightened. "I must go." Of course, he began to lift her, bringing her upright, while still not relinquishing his grip on her waist. The hand that supported her back found its way around, rising to touch the skin beside her eyes, catching a single tear from her long black lashes that had threatened to fall and ruin the exquisite canvas that was her face. The water glistened on his fingertip as he gently glided the side of his hand over her cheekbones. "I wouldn't want such a masterpiece flawed by this magical mermaid's tear." His voice was barely above a whisper. His face was now closer to hers, even as he held her upright. She wanted to collapse beneath the tension. "Has anyone seen the leading lady?" A high-pitched masculine voice came from beyond the hallway. "The show begins in 10 minutes, and she needs to finish warming up her voice." There was a sense of alarm in their voice. "I believe they are looking for you, Miss Prima Donna." He stared at her crystalline eyes, her black pupils widening in fear of them being caught in such a compromising situation. His lips moved forward, leaving the softest trace of a kiss upon her cheek. It was too much for her that she finally came to her senses, taking the role as the First Lady and placing both her hands on his chest. She pulled away from him, slipping out of his firm grip and moving to his side. "Good night to you, sir." She curtsied and bowed her head before lifting the hem of her dress and hurrying, almost leaving a trail of light and shimmer behind her. He had surely found a celestial being tonight. Among a pile of dull quartz, it seems I have found the conundrum. I wonder what I will paint with this new shade of blue that has landed on my palette. Rafayel shook his head and looked at his watch, knowing it was time for the show to begin, and he should make his way back up to his seat. As he walked, he pondered upon this interaction with the prima donna, a new ocean of colors to lap its waves upon the sands that was his existence. Thank you for listening.